I did not flinch when Vivian Vance slid that security report across her desk and said, "Sean, we are putting the executive vice president position on hold indefinitely." Just like that. No eye contact, no real explanation. It was as if she were telling me the office coffee machine was temporarily out of order. What she did not know was that I had finally reached my absolute limit. After 15 years of building her security firm from nothing, I was done playing her games. My name is Sean Brady. I am 47 years old, and this is the story of how I learned that corporate loyalty only works when it goes both ways. I am not the type of guy who makes waves. I spent 10 years in the Marines before entering the private sector. The military teaches you to follow orders, take care of your people, and get the mission done. When I got out in 2001, right after the world changed, I figured the corporate world worked the same way. Do your job well, protect your team, and leadership will take care of you. I was completely wrong about that last part. I started at Sentinel Risk Solutions when corporate America was scrambling to understand new physical and digital security threats. Vivian Vance hired me specifically to build their security division from zero. I handled government contracts, executive protection, and corporate data security. I developed the systems to handle it all. 15 years later, Sentinel pulls in $85 million annually in federal and corporate contracts. I built that capability from the ground up, but my contributions went far beyond standard management. In 2019, when a foreign hacking group tried to break into our client database, my threat detection systems caught the breach attempt 3 days before it could activate. That saved the company about $8 million in damages and federal penalties. When a major hurricane hit Houston, I coordinated emergency security for 3 major corporate accounts, keeping their operations running while our competitors went dark for weeks. I know every federal security contractor from Washington to Dallas. I know which background check companies deliver solid intelligence and which ones cut corners. When there is a real threat at 3 in the morning, nobody calls Vivian Vance. They call me and I handle it. The thing is, Vivian always showed up for the victory lap. She would walk into client meetings after I had already solved all the problems, shake hands with agency directors, and act like she personally designed our security systems. Meanwhile, I was the one pulling 16-hour shifts and missing my family events to keep her contracts running smoothly. Speaking of my family, that was what made this situation critical. My daughter Chloe was just diagnosed with severe spinal problems requiring surgery. The procedure costs $180,000, and our insurance company denied coverage, calling it experimental treatment. My son Mason was back from his second deployment in Syria with shrapnel damage to his leg. The government medical system had been shuffling his case around for 8 months, while he could barely walk. My wife Sarah had her consulting business take a major hit during the recent recession, and we were looking at refinancing our house just to stay current on our monthly bills. I am 47 years old. This executive vice president promotion was not about my ego anymore. It was about securing my family financial future. For the past 4 years, Vivian kept telling me the promotion was almost ready. Budget reviews, board meetings, corporate restructuring, always some convenient excuse. But she would pat me on the shoulders and say, "Do not worry, Sean. You are my choice for executive vice president. Just be patient while we get the paperwork done." I had been patient for 4 years while doing executive vice president work for director pay. I was patient while training new hires who made more money than me because they had master degrees and zero real-world experience. I was patient while Vivian's nephew, Bradley Vance, got fast-tracked to senior director after 14 months on the job. Bradley was fresh out of business school with his management degree. He had never spent a single day running background checks or handling security threats. The kid could not secure a parking garage, but he was family, and that was all that mattered at Sentinel Risk Solutions. The meeting that changed everything happened on a Tuesday afternoon in November. Vivian's assistant called me around 2 in the afternoon, saying she wanted to see me at 3:30 for my annual review and career discussion. I figured this was finally it. After 15 years, I was going to get the recognition I had earned. I put on my good suit, grabbed my performance folder, and walked into her office ready to accept the promotion we had been talking about for years. Vivian was reviewing contracts when I came in, doing that executive theater, where they make you wait while they handle urgent business. It is a standard power play. I have seen it everywhere from military command to corporate boardrooms. "Have a seat, Sean," she said without looking up from her screen. "We need to discuss some changes." I sat down, put my folder on her desk, and waited. Finally, she leaned back and gave me that look. It is the look bosses give you when they are about to deliver bad news, but want to act like it is no big deal. Vivian Vance adjusted her glasses and said, "Sean, the board decided to postpone the executive vice president expansion indefinitely. Market conditions and federal budget constraints require us to be conservative." I just stared in disbelief. Market conditions. This was the same company that spent $120,000 on new executive office furniture last quarter while posting record profits for 4 straight years. "Vivian," I said, keeping my voice level, "we have been planning this promotion for months." The job description was already written. She shuffled her papers. "Economic conditions require flexibility," she replied. "The board needs to be conservative." "What about adjusting my salary?" I asked. "I am already doing the executive vice president work. My responsibilities have doubled over the last 3 years. Shouldn't my pay match my responsibilities?" That was when she looked away. Company policy keeps salaries aligned with official titles. Once the executive vice president position gets approved, you will be the first candidate. First candidate. Not even a guarantee. I sat there letting that sink in. 15 years of building her security empire, of missing family dinners to keep her contracts running. And this was what I got. "When do you think that might happen?" I asked. "Hard to say," she replied. "Maybe next year, maybe longer. Next year or maybe longer. Translation: never." That was when I understood. Vivian was planning to keep me right where I was, doing executive work for director pay until I retired. She had the perfect setup. She got all the results with none of the cost. I picked up my performance folder, stood up, and looked her in the eye. "Thanks for letting me know," I said. My voice stayed calm, but something had changed inside me. Something permanent. "Do not worry about it, Sean," she said, turning back to her screen. "You are valuable right where you are. Just keep doing what you are doing. Keep doing what you are doing." The same line every greedy boss gives when they want to keep taking advantage of your hard work. I walked out of that office and closed the door. The hallway looked the same, but everything felt different. I was seeing the place clearly for the first time in years. At my desk, I did not open any project files. Instead, I opened my personal email and started looking through messages I had been ignoring for months. Recruiters, headhunters, former colleagues who had moved on to better jobs. Messages that all said the same thing. "You are too good for Sentinel. Come work somewhere that appreciates talent." I had always deleted those emails before. Loyalty, you know. But sitting there, I started thinking maybe loyalty was supposed to work both ways, and Sentinel had been going in the wrong direction for years. One email caught my attention right away. The subject line was simple: "Coffee and Conversation," from Roland Briggs, the Chief Executive Officer of Apex Protective Group. I knew the name. Everyone in Dallas security knows Apex. They started as a small protective services company, but in the last 5 years, they had grown into serious competition. They were winning government contracts, major corporate accounts, and even some of the homeland security work that used to go automatically to companies like Sentinel. Word was that Roland ran things differently. He paid well, treated people right, and actually listened to his managers. I clicked on the email. "Sean, I have been watching your work at Sentinel. Your threat response record and safety numbers are the best in the Southwest. If you are ever interested in talking about leadership opportunities, I would love to buy you coffee. No pressure, just curious about your thoughts on where the industry is heading." It did not feel like a generic sales pitch. This guy had done his homework. I stared at that email for 10 minutes, then closed my laptop and went home. Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner while the kids handled homework. It was our normal Tuesday night routine, but I could not shake the feeling that everything was about to change. "How was your meeting with Vivian?" Sarah asked. "About what I expected," I said. She gave me that look. 22 years of marriage and she can read me like a book. "That bad, huh?" she murmured. Chloe looked up from her algebra homework. Dad, is everything okay? That was when it hit me. My daughter should not have to worry about corporate politics. She should be focused on being 17 and figuring out which colleges she wants to visit. Everything is fine, sweetheart, I said. Just work stuff. But it was not fine, and Sarah knew it. After the kids went to bed, we sat on the back porch with 2 drinks, and I told her what really happened. 15 years, she said when I finished. 15 years, and they won't even give you the title for work you are already doing. That is about the size of it. She was quiet for a minute, looking out at our backyard. We bought this house 13 years ago, right after Mason was born. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage, good school district. The American dream, Texas style. But dreams cost money, and money requires a steady paycheck with room for growth. You know what I think? Sarah said finally. I think you should call that Roland guy. I looked at my wife. Are you sure? You have been loyal to Sentinel longer than we have lived in this house, she said. But loyalty has to go both ways. If they do not see your value after 15 years, maybe it is time to find someone who does. The next morning, I responded to Roland Briggs' email. Mr. Briggs, I appreciate you reaching out. I would be interested in that conversation, he replied, suggesting Saturday morning at 9 at O'Malley's Diner on Elm Street. On Saturday, I drove over. It is one of those old-school places where security contractors grab breakfast. Red vinyl booths, strong coffee, and staff who have seen it all. It was the perfect place for a private conversation. Roland was already there in a corner booth. He stood up with a firm handshake that showed his field experience. We skipped the small talk. Roland explained that Apex was growing rapidly with 5 major federal contracts starting in 6 months, and he needed a regional operations leader. I was impressed by his direct approach. He offered me the position of Executive Vice President of Regional Operations. The starting salary was $145,000, plus performance bonuses, profit sharing, and full family health benefits. He also mentioned their education assistance program, which would cover up to $15,000 per year in tuition for employees' children. Now he really had my attention. Chloe's surgery was going to cost us nearly $180,000, and Mason College Fund needed a boost. Why me? I asked. Because I do not want someone younger and cheaper, Roland said. I want someone who knows what he is doing. Someone who can handle a crisis at 3 in the morning without needing hand-holding. Someone whose team actually respects him. He pulled out a sheet of paper with their safety records. They were solid. But Roland wanted them to be excellent. My safety record at Sentinel was the best in Texas, and he wanted that standard at Apex. He told me to think it over and call him Monday. That night, looking at our budget and remembering Vivian indifference, the choice was clear. I called Roland and accepted. Monday morning, I walked into Sentinel and submitted my resignation letter. 2 weeks' notice, professional and clean. I checked on the Oak Ridge Systems account security review, looked over protocol updates, and answered a few emails. Around 10 in the morning, I knocked on Vivian's door. Come in, she called. I walked in and sat down. Vivian looked up from her screen. What is up, Sean? I pulled out the letter and placed it on her desk. I am submitting my resignation. 2 weeks' notice, standard procedure. She stared at the letter as if it were written in a foreign language. Then she looked up with a confused expression. Resignation, Sean? What do you mean, Vivian? I am taking a position with Apex Protective Group, Executive Vice President of Regional Operations. My last day here will be Friday, November 22nd. Now she was paying attention. Vivian picked up the letter and read it, her face getting redder. Apex Protective Group? They are our competition, Sean. They are our direct rivals. They are the company that offered me what you would not, I said. Respect, proper pay, and a chance to actually lead. Sean, let us not be hasty here, she said, putting on that fake concerned voice. If this is about the promotion, we can work something out. Maybe speed up the timeline. Vivian, you told me Tuesday that timeline might be next year or longer. Today is Monday, and suddenly you can speed it up. She shifted in her chair. Bradley's situation is different, she said. Yeah, it is different. He is family. I am just the guy who has kept this company profitable for 15 years. Vivian leaned forward. What is Apex offering that we cannot match? $145,000 to start, plus profit sharing and education assistance for my kids. Vivian blinked. That is a significant increase. It is what the job is worth, Vivian. It is what I should have been making here 3 years ago. Give me 48 hours, she said. Let me talk to the board. I stood up. Vivian, I already gave Apex my answer. The decision is made. Sean, do not do this. We are like family here. Family does not lie to each other for years, I said. Family does not take advantage of loyalty. I walked toward the door. Oh, and Vivian, you might want to start looking for replacements. I am not the only one who has been unhappy around here. That afternoon, word got around the office. By 2, Jared Foley stopped by my office. Jared had been my operations coordinator for 7 years. He knew every contractor and federal contact in the state. Is it true? He asked. Yeah, it is true. 2 weeks' notice as of this morning. He sat down. Where are you headed? Apex Protective Group, Executive Vice President of Regional Operations. Jared nodded. They are good people. Jared, you know I cannot recruit you while I am still employed here. I know, he said, but hypothetically speaking, if someone were to leave Sentinel and go to work for Apex, would there be opportunities? Hypothetically, I would imagine Apex is always looking for good people. Good to know, Jared said, standing up. Congratulations, Sean. It is about time someone recognized what you are worth. 20 minutes after Jared left, Rebecca Cross knocked on my door. Rebecca was our best intelligence analyst. She graduated with honors in security studies. She worked her way up from assistant to senior analyst in 5 years. Smart as hell and twice as hardworking. So you are really leaving? She asked. Friday is my last day. Can't say I blame you. I have been watching them pass you over for years while taking credit for your work. Rebecca sat down. You know, I have been thinking about making a change myself. This place does not seem to value analytical excellence the way it should. Where would you go? I asked. Well, if Apex is hiring, they probably need analysts too. I would imagine they do. I might give them a call. Troy Miller was the third visitor. Troy runs our safety and compliance programs, and he is the reason Sentinel has the best safety record. Former military police, careful about details. Heard the news, he said. About time. Thanks, Troy. Question for you. Apex safety record is solid, but they could use someone with experience upgrading their protocols. I would agree. Think they would be interested in hiring a compliance coordinator with 10 years of experience and a perfect inspection record? I think any smart company would be interested. Troy smiled. I will keep that in mind. By Wednesday, rumors were flying. On Thursday morning, Jared, Rebecca, and Troy all resigned within hours of each other. 3 of my key people were gone in a single morning. Vivian called an emergency meeting, but the damage was done. Word was out that the backbone of Sentinel was walking out. My phone rang. It was Vivian, Sean? We need to talk. This is getting out of hand. 3 more resignations today. They are not my people, Vivian. They make their own decisions. This is sabotage. No, this is what happens when you treat employees badly. Sean, please, can we meet? I looked around my office, already half-packed. Vivian, I already worked something out with Apex. My last day is Friday. The board authorized me to offer you $135,000 plus benefits. Executive Vice President title, effective immediately. That is generous, I said, but I already accepted another position. You had 15 years to make that offer, Vivian. I hung up. Monday morning at Apex Protective Group felt like stepping into a different world. Clean offices, updated equipment, and people who actually seemed happy. Roland Briggs met me with coffee and a genuine smile. Welcome to Apex, Sean. Ready to get started? My office was twice the size of what I had at Sentinel. By the end of my second week, Jared, Rebecca, and Troy had all started at Apex. Roland did not ask questions, he just welcomed them. Meanwhile, things were falling apart at Sentinel. The first sign of trouble came 3 weeks after I left. A friend told me they had missed a critical security update on the Oak Ridge Systems account because nobody knew which federal contact to call. That delay cost Sentinel $35,000 in contract penalties. 2 weeks later, it was the federal building contract. A terrorist threat required an emergency security upgrade, but without Troy's safety protocols and Jared coordination experience, they could not mobilize fast enough. The agency pulled them off that contract and gave it to Apex. Roland called me into his office that Thursday. Sean, the federal agency just offered us the downtown building security contract. It is the one Sentinel lost. You know that operation better than anyone. Think we can handle it? We can handle it, I said. We finished that security upgrade 4 days ahead of schedule and $45,000 under budget. Within a month, Apex had 4 new contracts from clients who had gotten frustrated with Sentinel declining service. Each one was a project I had worked on before. Vivian started calling again. Sean, are you actively recruiting my employees? 9 people have resigned in the past month, all citing better opportunities. Maybe that should tell you something about the opportunities you are providing, I replied. This is not sustainable, Sean. Sentinel has been part of Dallas security for 18 years. It could be part of it for another 18 years if you started treating your employees like assets instead of expenses. What would it take to get you back? Vivian, there is no amount of money that would bring me back. This is not about salary anymore. It is about respect. 6 months after I started at Apex, the industry magazine Southwest Security Today ran a feature story about our emergency response capabilities. The article mentioned me by name as the guy behind Apex Rapid Expansion. Sarah cut out the article and put it on the refrigerator next to Chloe Honor Roll Certificate and Mason Physical Therapy Progress Report. The same week, I got a call from Keith Ryan, who had been Sentinel Lead Field Coordinator for 11 years. Sean, I am thinking about making a change. Things are pretty chaotic here since you left. Vivian has hired 5 different operations managers in 7 months, and none of them last more than 6 weeks. Apex is always looking for experienced coordinators, I told Keith. If you are interested, send me your resume. Keith Ryan started at Apex 2 weeks later. A year after I left Sentinel, Roland promoted me to Senior Vice President with a 15% raise and expanded responsibilities for all Southwest operations. That same month, I heard that Sentinel had lost 4 major contracts and laid off 20% of their workforce. Vivian Vance was trying to sell the company, but the due diligence process kept revealing major operational and compliance issues. I did not feel sorry for Vivian. I felt sorry for the good people still working there who were paying the price for her arrogance. As Sentinel Risk Solutions continued to hemorrhage clients, Vivian Vance decided to launch one final, desperate counterattack. In mid-October, I received a certified mail envelope at my office. It was a formal lawsuit filed by Sentinel corporate attorneys, accusing me and Apex Protective Group of tortious interference, breach of contract, and illegal solicitation of employees. The complaint demanded $5 million in damages and asked for an immediate court injunction to bar me, Jared, Rebecca, Troy, and Keith from working in the Dallas security sector. To make matters worse, Vivian withheld our final commissions and earned performance bonuses, claiming we had forfeited them. Roland Briggs called me into his office with our corporate counsel to review the filing. This is a classic intimidation play, Sean, the lawyer said. A lengthy court battle could freeze your operations. That was when Troy Miller walked in carrying a thick blue binder. They want to talk compliance? Troy said. Let us talk about federal law. Troy explained that Sentinel was desperate to keep their North Dallas Homeland Security contract. Without qualified coordinators and safety officers, they lacked the required personnel. Instead of reporting this, Vivian and Bradley ordered the remaining staff to falsify safety logs, fabricate shift check-ins, and forge compliance signatures. They submitted these false reports to keep receiving payments. This directly violated the Federal False Claims Act. Under Title 31, United States Code, Section 3729. Under this law, presenting fraudulent claims to the government leads to treble damages and civil penalties of up to $22,000 per violation. It also contains a qui tam provision allowing private citizens to file lawsuits on behalf of the government and receive a percentage of recovered funds. I have the original email exchanges, Troy said. One of the field supervisors who was ordered to forge the compliance reports was terrified of going to prison. He copied the emails, took screenshots of the falsified database entries, and brought them to me last week. We had the evidence. Sentinel had submitted over 40 false compliance certifications over the past 5 months. Our attorney smiled. If we file a qui tam action under Section 3729, the Department of Justice will immediately launch an investigation. Vivian's lawsuit against you will be the least of her problems. We did not hesitate. The next day, Our legal team filed a formal whistleblower complaint under the False Claims Act with the federal court. The evidence was so overwhelming that the Department of Justice and the Office of the Inspector General intervened within 3 weeks. Federal investigators raided Sentinel, seizing databases and billing records. The audit revealed Bradley Vance had personally authorized 28 fraudulent logs. Facing criminal prosecution and massive penalties, Sentinel collapsed. The federal government immediately suspended all active contracts with Sentinel and initiated debarment proceedings to ban the firm from bidding on future public contracts. The treble damages and civil penalties under Section 3729 amounted to over $4 million, a sum the struggling firm could not possibly pay. The bank foreclosed on their building and assets were liquidated. Vivian was forced into bankruptcy, and Bradley was banned from federal contracting for life. The court ordered the release of our withheld funds. I received $48,000, while my team received their full back pay. We celebrated at O'Malley's Diner. 2 years after starting at Apex, Chloe's spinal surgery was successfully completed. Between our comprehensive health insurance and Apex medical assistance program, the entire procedure and recovery cost us less than $12,000 out of pocket. Chloe was back on her feet, running track and planning to study biochemistry in college. Mason's leg had healed enough for him to walk without a cane, and he was currently enrolled in a cybersecurity program, planning to join our team after graduation. Sarah's consulting business had rebounded completely, and we had paid off our mortgage years ahead of schedule. One evening, Sarah and I were sitting on the back porch, watching the Texas sky turn gold and orange. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had stayed?" she asked. I laughed. I would probably still be sitting in that cramped office, listening to Vivian promises and wondering how I was going to pay for Chloe's surgery. Leaving was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was the best. Vivian Vance thought she could exploit my loyalty forever because she held the keys to the company. She did not realize that the real value of the company was the people who did the work. When she pushed us too far, she did not just lose a director. She lost the foundation of her entire business. The Dallas security sector is still competitive, but Apex now commands the largest share of the regional market. We have over 300 active field agents, 40 corporate clients, and a reputation for absolute honesty. Roland Briggs proved that you can build a highly profitable enterprise by investing in your people, paying them what they are worth, and treating them with respect. As for me, I learned that the military lessons I carried with me were right all along. You look out for your team, you maintain your integrity, and you stand up against exploitation. Loyalty is a two-way street. If a company does not show it to you, you have no obligation to show it to them. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply walking away and building something better.